Meghan Markle, a name that can stop the world in its tracks. But behind that radiant smile and those red carpet moments lies a story very few know. Back in 2006, she already knew how to navigate the world of the elite, choosing friends and events with the precision of a chess master. Every encounter, every photo, every evening at Soho House wasn't a coincidence. It was strategy, a carefully laid path to the top, a path that, as Prince Harry would later discover, was built not by love, but by calculation. His heart, full of hope, was blindsided. Photographs of Meghan on luxury yachts, glowing under golden sunsets, with the unmistakable Soho House logo in the background. All of it seemed like glamour, but in reality, it was proof of her access to a world Harry thought was out of reach. Every move, every step Meghan took was constructing a bridge to her future. A bridge that intersected with Harry's life long before their official meeting. And yet the allure of that world was mesmerizing. It wasn't just a club. It was a gateway to influence, power, and opportunities few could ever imagine. For Meghan, Soho House wasn't a playground. It was a launchpad. And as Harry would soon realize, sometimes love walks straight into someone else's plan. It began innocently, at least on the surface. Prince Harry, curious and restless, stumbled upon old images of Meghan online. A casual trip down memory lane turned into a storm of revelations. She was everywhere. Parties, galas, luxury yachts, always surrounded by powerful figures, the kind who could open doors others could only dream of. One image in particular caught his eye. Meghan laughing under the Mediterranean sun, a navy blue Soho House bag subtly placed in the frame. It wasn't just a prop. It was a symbol, a marker of privilege and connection. Harry tried to dismiss it as coincidence, but the more he looked, the more he saw a pattern, a carefully curated path into a world he had yet to understand fully. And as the pieces fell into place, a chilling realization began to form. The story of their romance, the instinct sparks, the fairy tale needies. Could it have been orchestrated? Was fate merely a mask for strategy? Every photo, every event, every handshake seemed to whisper. This was not random. This was planned. By the time Meghan's name appeared alongside Harry's in headlines, insiders weren't surprised. To them, it looked like a perfect success story. A woman who had risen from Hollywood to royalty, supported quietly by powerful figures behind the scenes. Marcus Anderson, a key player in the Soho House network, had been her silent guide, providing access, shaping opportunities, and connecting her to influential circles. Harry, once enamored with the idea of a simple love story, began to question everything. Blind dates, instant connections, effortless chemistry. What if all of it was part of a meticulously designed script? And yet the charm remained intoxicating. Even as suspicion grew, Harry's emotions pulled him deeper, caught between love and the subtle pressure of a carefully constructed social ladder. Meghan's every move, from attending exclusive events to building selective friendships, demonstrated a mastery of optics. She knew where to be, who to meet, and how to appear. The fairy tale he believed in was starting to feel like a production, and he was only just realizing he was the lead actor, not the writer. The evidence was everywhere. Cross-referencing dates, locations, and photographs revealed uncanny overlaps with Harry's world. Gala dinners, charity events, and social gatherings. Each step had been planned with precision. Meghan wasn't orbiting in Tay's life. She was already embedded with Ed, quietly guided by the same network that would eventually shape the course of their relationship. Every introduction, every connection. It was all part of a system designed to propel her toward influence and visibility. And Marcus Anderson, always present but rarely noticed, had orchestrated these encounters, ensuring that the right people notice her and that her path led inevitably to royalty. For Harry, it was a revelation that felt like betrayal. The love story he had believed in now bore the fingerprints of strategy. The realization wasn't just personal. It was unsettling, exposing the hidden machinery behind a romance that the world had celebrated as spontaneous. Even in public appearances, the pattern was evident. From London galas to rooftop gatherings in Barcelona, Meghan's presence aligned seamlessly with influential figures, aristocrats, philanthropists, media executives. Each interaction was more than chance. It was a calculated step closer to the inner circle. Harry's initial disbelief gave way to a quiet anxiety. Could the woman he loved have been performing a role all along? The possibility gnawed at him, and yet the charm, intelligence, and allure were undeniable. It was difficult to reconcile the enchantment of their romance with the emerging evidence of premeditated positioning. And so the narrative shifted. The story of love, spontaneity, and destiny began to blur with whispers of design, connections, and social engineering. Meghan's world, previously mysterious, was now revealing its meticulous architecture. As the internet exploded with discussion, observers pieced together timelines, photographs, and guest lists. Reddit threads, TikTok sleuths, and gossip accounts mapped connections faster than royal PR could erase them. Social media became a detective board, revealing overlaps between Meghan's social circles and Harry's early life. The public began questioning, was it really love that brought them together, or a carefully orchestrated strategy? Defenders called such theories sexist, critics called them vindication. For Harry, the mounting evidence was hard to ignore. Every glance, every interaction, every shared event now carried a hidden context, a hidden intent. The illusion of spontaneity was cracking, and the fairy tale romance was beginning to feel like a narrative written by someone else entirely. Harry's discovery of old voicemails, photos, and guest lists painted a startling picture. Dates aligned, appearances intersected, and social circles overlapped, far too perfectly to be coincidence. It was as if Meghan's life had been a rehearsal, a careful choreography, preparing her for the moment she would meet Harry and enter a world few outsiders could ever imagine. Questions of intention and agency began to dominate Harry's thoughts. Had Meghan truly been self-made, or had she been guided, polished, and positioned for the ultimate entrance into royalty? The more he uncovered, the less it seemed like chance, and the more it felt like design. Even as their relationship blossomed publicly, the influence of powerful figures lingered. Marcus Anderson, once her guide, quietly stepped back, observing as the outcomes of his planning unfolded. Access, connections, visibility, all had been meticulously managed, and now the system was beginning to reveal its rules. Harry's fairy tale had become a story of social engineering, where strategy overshadowed spontaneity. The woman he had loved and the moments he had cherished were now seen through a lens of orchestration, planning, and influence. Public perception and private discovery collided. Meghan's charm, wit, and poise had captivated the world. Yet for Harry, the personal revelations were jarring. The realization that his relationship had intersected with a broader system of control, ambition, and elite influence reshaped his understanding of love, trust, and choice. And yet the story was far from simple. It wasn't a tale of villainy, but of strategy, influence, and the delicate dance between personal ambition and public life. Meghan's rise had been orchestrated, but the consequences of that orchestration were now unfolding in ways no one could fully anticipate. The Balenciaga incident would later serve as a harsh reminder. The fashion world, once welcoming, turned cold. The charm that had opened doors began to falter under scrutiny. Even the most carefully cultivated image could not survive if allies withdrew. Marcus Anderson's decision to step back marked a turning point, revealing the fragility of influence and the real consequences of social strategy. Meghan, once at the center of elite circles, began to face the limits of her carefully curated network. Without her mentor, the doors that had been opened began to close. The glamour, the power, the influence, all of it depended on support that was no longer guaranteed. Social media amplified every misstep. Memes, comments, and analysis turned private struggles into public spectacle. What was once strategic charm became perceived desperation. Every laugh, every wave, every red carpet moment was dissected, exposing vulnerability beneath the carefully crafted exterior. The lesson was clear. Even the brightest spotlight could turn into scrutiny when support and strategy fell away. Meghan's rise, impressive and intentional, was now being measured against the harsh standards of public opinion. In the end, the story isn't simply about love or fame. It's about strategy, influence, and the delicate balance between perception and reality. Meghan's journey from Hollywood actress to duchess reveals the power of calculated moves, selective connections, and careful positioning. For Harry, it was a revelation. The fairy tale he believed in was only part of the story. The real tale was one of planning, ambition, and influence, woven into the fabric of every event, photo, and encounter. And in that story, love was only one part of a much larger narrative, a narrative where every move was measured every